What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. If you like videos about prepping, survival, self-reliance, and other related topics, then be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on to be notified each time that I upload a new video. A lot of people seem to think that if anything really big happens, really bad happens, that the federal government will come in and save them. The federal government cures. They will put their vast resources that they have and come in and save us. And if that doesn't work, then they will take from other people. That's another thing that a lot of people think that don't prepare. Either the government's going to come and save them, the federal government will come in and save the day, or they'll take from other people. People seem to have this fantasy that the federal government actually cares. That the federal government actually cares about the people. And if you look at all government, most don't really care about the people. Now, if you go down to the local level where you have the smaller towns, you have the mayors and the aldermen in the smaller towns, the city council, the sheriff, they usually care a lot more about their community than the bigger towns, bigger cities, and especially at that federal level. That federal level is completely lost in my opinion when it comes to caring. They don't represent us. They represent making themselves rich, getting more power, and they represent the military-industrial complex, big pharma. They represent the power wealth holders. That's who they represent. They don't represent the people. That's where I think you should focus your political efforts at, is at that local level. But at the federal level, guys, they don't care about us at all. And they've proven that over and over and over again. You look at the federal government. Look at the needless wars we've had. And the needless death that we've had during those wars. Take Vietnam, for example. It was 56,000 or something Americans perished in Vietnam, I think that it was. 50-something thousand, I think it's 56,000 or something that perished. And if you look at all the false flags, and if you look at everything, it's obvious that they don't care, but still yet people want to believe. They have this fantasy, like the X-Files, I want to believe. When it's obvious that they don't care. They don't care about us at all. If you look at the southern border, it's wide open, but yet they tell us that they want to protect us. They want us to be prosperous. They want us to be happy. They want us to be safe. They want to ban firearms. They want to ban full capacity magazines for our safety because they care. Just like they passed, the Inflation Reduction Act. It wasn't anything to do with reducing inflation. It was about giving dollars, our tax dollars, to this climate agenda, this climate cult. That's what it's all about, is climate. They tell us that they care about our safety from these terrorists that attacked in New York on 9/11. So they had to put in the Patriot Act, just to protect us. It's patriotic, but there wasn't a thing patriotic about it. They tell us these things to make us think that they care, make us think they have our best interests at heart when they don't. They could not care less about the American people. They don't care if we're poor, suffering, and that's obvious with this open southern border. In fact, you've probably heard that in New York City, they have closed down, I think, maybe at least one of the schools I know, and it could be several, multiple school systems. They closed those down and sent the children home to learn at home without remote learning, like they did during the COVID lockdowns when the schools were all closed up. But they sent the taxpayers' children home to be taught at home through remote learning to allow these illegals to come in and take the schools over. And, Elon Musk had a tweet that said that they're coming for your house next. And that's what I'm getting to. They're coming for your house next, especially if you're living in government housing. If you live in the housing projects and things like that the government runs, or if you rent, then you're definitely at risk of being put out on the street and allowing these illegals to come in and live where you lived at, your home that you made. Now they come in, cross the border, they need a home. They're needy. So you get your ass kicked out on the street and then move them in. Like I said, if you rent, that could definitely be a threat, because the federal government will come in and they will tell these landowners that own these rental properties, we can pay you double what these other people are paying to live in your home, to live in your rental property. And most people will say, okay, and they kick your ass out. Same thing with, these government-funded housing, these housing projects and things like that. You're definitely at risk of being kicked out on the street because these people coming across by hundreds of thousands every month. They need a place to stay, need a place to live. They had no jobs, they had no income, they have nowhere to go. So what are they going to do? They're going to kick people out of their homes. Like I said, especially if you rent, or especially if you live in government housing. You will be kicked out more than likely in time. You'll be on the street, and they will have these illegals come in and live where you did, and you'll be the one that's homeless because they are more important. That's how much that the federal government cares about the American people. And you think that it's not going to happen, but it's already happening. Like I said, they've closed the schools down in New York to move in these illegals. They've already kicked out military veterans to put in illegals. So guys, it's obvious that the federal government doesn't care about you or I. They don't care about the American people. If they did, they wouldn't be shutting schools down to house illegals. They wouldn't be moving people out, veterans out, to pay more to house illegals in these places. And it's going to get much, much worse. The federal government does not care about us at all. These people coming across the border is our replacements. They don't care to, they'll tell us that, these illegals, we can't have these on the street in wintertime because it's cold. But they will throw you out on the street where it's cold and move the illegals in. Or technically they're legal because they come through and they get their paperwork, so they're technically legal. And that's the way they're working in this. That way, when they come on the news and tell you there's so many thousand illegals or illegal immigration is at a low, they're lying because they don't consider the people that they bring through, and they fill their paperwork out and send them out into the United States. They don't consider them illegal, but in my opinion, they are, because we need a closed border because we can't handle all this influx of people coming over here, and it's obvious now. It's becoming more and more obvious as time goes on, as more and more people get displaced out of their homes and thrown out into the street and be replaced in those homes in that government-funded housing with these illegals, because the illegals are what's important. And another thing that proves that the federal government doesn't care about the American people is their plans for contingency of government. They have plans to keep themselves in power, keep themselves safe in the event of, a catastrophe like a nuclear war, something like that, or asteroid strike or whatever. They have plans to keep themselves safe. They have elaborate, secret, underground cities stocked full. They have escape plans. The federal government preps, and they use our taxpayers' dollars to prep with. They put on the national debt, but they build extensive bunker systems, tunneling systems. They have contingency of government. What do you have? Do you see any nuclear bomb shelters around where you're at? Do you see any government in the federal government building in your town, your city, building underground bunkers for the people to go in case, a nuclear exchange does happen? No, you don't see that at all. We have nothing. You are on your own. I am on my own. The federal government is prepping. The federal government is getting ready. They're getting ready to keep power, to protect themselves and their families. But everyone else, they don't care if you burn up in a nuclear holocaust. They couldn't care less, like I said, but they're protecting themselves. They would take some of that money that they're sending to, if they cared, they would take some of that money that we've been sending to Ukraine to fight this proxy war with Russia, and the money they've sent everywhere else, including Iran and pretty much every country in the world we sent billions of dollars to over time. They would take that money and invest that in putting in systems for the people. They put in, those bomb shelters and things, especially in these larger cities, these target areas. They would put in places for people to go and keep those stockpiled full. But they don't care. They're building for themselves. They're protecting themselves. They have places to go. They have deep underground bunkers with big doors this thick, with steel on each side, with concrete in the middle, buried down in the ground, deep. They have elaborate tunnel systems, pretty much cities. They have showers, they have power, they have everything they need to survive. But you and I are on our own. So anyone that can look at you with a straight face and tell you that the federal government cares about the people. They want us to be safe and prosperous. You can know for a fact that person is an idiot, because it's definitely should be obvious to anyone with even half of a brain that the federal government doesn't give a shit about the American people. They care more about illegal aliens coming across the border than they do, American people. And in fact, the government that we have in there right now with Joe Biden and his regime, they've come out and said that white supremacy is the biggest threat to our democracy. So, and people still believe, so they care. That they care about us. They want to protect us. They're making laws to help us live safely, to help us be more prosperous, to have better educations and things. And that simply is not the case. It's obvious. The federal government does not care about us at all. We are on our own. We are on our own. So prepare the best you can with the resources that you have, and know that the federal government is preparing, has been preparing for many, many years. And you also, you see people like Mark Zuckerberg building massive bunkers in Hawaii. All the wealthy elite are doing this. They're building survival properties. They are prepping like crazy. These rich people, mega rich people, these billionaires, they're some of the biggest preppers on the planet. The federal government is the biggest prepper on the planet. But they steal your money and my money and build their bunkers. The federal government does, and stock those and get everything ready. Because they're going to be safe, but you're going to be on your own. These, like Zuckerberg, like I said, building that bunker in Hawaii. And he's not the only one. All these rich, elite, globalists are building these bunkers because they know what is happening. But they're not telling us. You have to figure it out on your own. They're telling us it's going to be climate change. It's going to be this, that, or something else. But they know something's coming. And they know, in my opinion, what is coming. And if they cared about the American people, they would tell us this is coming. But they don't want to have panic. So they would rather stay in power without panic as long as possible and let more people die and perish than just to be honest with the American people and tell them what is happening. Because it's all part of the agenda. It's designed to, when it's over with, to give them more power over everyone that's actually left. Anyway, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'm going to create more matter, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.